Welcome everyone for this session on building your first AI agent. You may have built agent before, but this is primarily focused for folks who want to really build their first AI agent. And even if you have built prior, there may be different tools which we are going to talk about and showcase. And we are really hoping that you could actually have your own first agent built. So if you are on an iPad or a device on a mobile, I would strongly suggest that you come on to your PC, even have a monitor, which would be very handy, where you can see the instructions and be able to follow and get the best of the experience. So with that, we're going to get started. My name is Raju Srivastava. I'm the host and the co-presenter for today. I've been fortunate to be in the industry for 25 plus years in the tech industry and in the Bay Area, which is a lot of that tech activity which continues to happen. Though I really think the blessing is more about sharing to people in different forms, whether it is through development, design, whether it is through different companies which I have blessed to be founder of. And we have two companies which I have. This is bigdatatrunk presenting today. It's a corporate training services company which helps mostly corporates, clients on Fortune 500 companies, but also for individuals, which we are opening at. We have been blessed to really help a lot of the big logos, Fortune 500 companies, prestigious universities. And then Certified 360 is a platform which we have built, AI platform to help people in certification preps. But all my journey, I think it's blessed and fortunate to be really in a form of sharing in form of shapes, whether it is teaching, whether it is presenting in various conferences, which me and my team, all of us do in different forms of shapes. I've been also had the opportunity to be an author and write two books in tech. Both of them are available on Amazon, one in Microsoft Press and one in Pearson Publication. So that's a little brief about me. My co-presenter today, along with me, is Aparna. She has 15 years plus experience in teaching, training, product development as well. Also an author of several books, 3 books in data analytics. She is really passionate about teaching, developing in the whole world of education, whether it's universities, corporate, and the product experience kind of a thing. So I share all this background for 2 reasons. One, I think the primary and the most strong currency in these kind of sessions is about trust and value. And some of these things, some people, it builds the trust, but the biggest point is about value. And that's what we are hoping how we can be really in a very short lightning session, how we can provide the best value for this group. And that's why there are a few logistics which we have put together. And attendees are muted for the first part. For the most part of this thing, we'll open up in the Q&A in the end. But please feel free to put the questions in the chat so that you don't forget. And we'll try to take as best as possibly. Stay on the mute even when the Q&A is open if you're not speaking, because the large audience which we have and people tickling it could be really challenging. The session will be recorded and will be put on our YouTube channel. We'll share the links in a little bit in the end in the chat itself, but otherwise you can go to Big Data Trunk and look at our YouTube channel. But the real value is the live experience, which we are trying to share. And we want you to experience that. So be present and focus on the next 15, 20 minutes. And you'll definitely get much more value, whether it is a few nuggets. Some people will get value throughout. And depending on where you are and what your experience and what your involvement is. So the humble ask which I have for folks, be present. I think a lot of times people come in and they're on the phone, their emails and kind of a thing. This is a very hands-on, very ambitious, a lot of things which we want you to do and kind of practice, which are really trying to cope up in almost like a 2-3 hour kind of a training session into this 1 hour session. And my real goal, mission is to really have y'all be able to create some kind of first chat and be set up and enabled so that you can continue this journey forward in a very simplistic way. Even if you don't have any coding background, nothing, you can get started. And that's what, if even half of you are able to do that, that will be a huge success. But I really think that if all of you can really focus on to the doing hands-on part, that's why if you're just on the tablet or iPad or some other device, please try to come onto PC. If you have a monitor, attach it, I think, because you'll be able to see the instructions and able to follow through and do things along with us. We're going to be very guided and step-by-step approach in that. There is a gift for individuals who stay in the end. Yes, recording is there, but in my decades experience in teaching and kind of a thing, we all collect books, PDFs, files, trainings. never, ever come back to it. 95% of the people I can guarantee do not come back to it. So this being present in the moment gives you the best value, and please focus onto that. So with that, let's get started. Let's focus onto the value part of it, how we can really make the session valuable for you. So the conversation is more about AI agents, but obviously the conversation around AI agents have been going on for several points of time, and it is built up from different angles. And I'm going to take a very few slides, and we're going to get into demos very fast. Obviously, many of you have gone through, maybe done machine learning, deep learning, maybe some NLP, and some other kind of applications. You might have written some analytics. So it has been building over a period of time. With ChatGPT being launched a year and a half, 2 years back, it has changed and opened the door for complete shift of the conversation about AI. What we do and everywhere it is probably people start assuming it's Gen AI. That becomes the conversation. That shift is happening, and it is moving towards agents because the bigger promise, the automation, the return on investment that the industry can look in, with corporates can look in, what we are looking to our clients and everywhere, it's through the agents, which are going to give tremendous amount of value compared to what an individual can do in Gen AI kind of a thing. There is still a lot of productivity, there is a lot of value, but a lot of folks are just using this almost like a toy at this point of time. And that shifts when corporates and enterprises are able to do this. Of course, there is a lot of hype. There is a lot of investment. There is enormous amount of investment which is going on by large companies into this. There's billions and billions of being invested into this thing. It's typical hype, but I think this is not like the last three waves of AI which have happened in the past. This is much more stronger and really already providing a lot more value than what was possible in the last few AI waves, which has happened for the last 50 plus years. It's not that it started right now. So those are a few points which you just briefly wanted to touch on. But let's touch about what is generative AI versus what is agentic. What is the difference and how both of these things can be separated from each other. For generative AI, with ChatGPT opening up and several other tools which have come and surfaced right now with all the innovative chaos which is happening, has provided a capability where you can use prompts and interact using natural languages and interactions and generate content, whether it is text, whether it is images, whether it is video, different forms of content which you're been generating through this. It's primarily for generation of content. Yes, you can iterate with it. You can go back and forth with that, but that's about it. The limit is through that. It cannot take an action. It cannot do anything on behalf of you. It cannot send you send an email to your clients. It cannot do an interaction and create a record in a database. So that's not what generative AI is about. And that's where the shift starts happening, or the value starts happening with agentic AI, which could be one or more agents connected together, trying to do some kind of task, some kind of action, and get you a result what you're hoping for. And that's what agentic AI is. Giving a very small, quick example. Here's a live example what our sales team has built a small workflow, I would say. It's not even a proper agent. It's a AI workflow where somebody comes on our website, we are able to connect it and see, oh, this person, so and so forth. And it has the duration and time from so location is able to come in, and they first touched the website domain to this page, the home page or certain page kind of a thing. So technology is getting very sophisticated. It is doing a few different steps before it's coming there. It's identifying the person, getting to the LinkedIn profile. It can come to the email. There's technology is getting so much sophisticated, and there are lots of things which can be done. So this is an example of an action, and this is a Slack integration, which is sending back to Slack. So it's a very targeted application which can build and showcase in a very short way just to see how the difference is. This is purely for content generation. Here is what we are talking about, taking real action. So that's the brief difference between agentic AI and generative AI. Just wanted to highlight that. Almost the last couple of slides. There's a lot of research which we are seeing the industry. I think it's mind-boggling amount of research which has already happened by large organizations, by the big five consulting companies. For example, Gartner over here has provided a real good view of how agentic AI is evolving, and different agents are coming from various structures and moving towards the very, very advanced stages. If I just talk about chatbots, for example, we have been seeing chatbots for decades and decades. This conventional chatbot, you think about, it's almost like a workflow. If you come to our website, let's say a chatbot is built and it will ask you whether you are looking for training for yourself or for your company, right? That's why segregating it's B2B or B2C, which we have to target. And if you say individual, then we might ask you're looking for certification, you're looking for a job, you're looking for upskilling. It's kind of a guided navigation. It's almost like a rule-based system, which is just taking you to navigating to different points, and it might end up giving you a link to look for more information, or it might ask you to fill up some form or give some information that way. Then came in more conversational using natural language, where you don't have to really be restricted to the guided part. You can ask what you want, and the chatbot will try to find what the answer is, and it will assist in getting. Many times it will fail. It will not be able to give very perfect information, but it does the job. It does bring certain amount of automation and helps you in that perspective. When it moves over here, when LLM-based AI comes into picture, it is about adding the company's more specific information, the schedule of our trainings, the return policy, all of that. Now the agent becomes much more powerful, not just giving general answers, but along with the general knowledge, it is about the trained knowledge, but from our organization. So that's how it is developing. Learning AI agents are learning from what the user interaction is, how that can be developed and taken forward. I think most of the companies right now are moving forward somewhere from the basic to intermediate. Gartner themselves talks about like 2027 or something, when autonomic AI agents can come into play. So that's how the journey is happening, and things are evolving almost like every sector, every industry, right? So with that, I'm going to pass over to Aparna, but also a gentle reminder for folks who are not on computer, not getting ready, because after 2 more slides, we are going to get in hands-on, and it's your opportunity to really get your agents created, your account set up, and all of those things, so that you actually can start making some agents in anything, even if you haven't done anything at all in coding or AI so far, except for ChatGPT and so on and so forth. So with that, I'm going to just move the slides for the next couple of slides, Aparna, and probably then you can take over. So over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Raj. Once again, welcome everybody. Hope I'm clearly audible. The next couple of slides, again, we are keeping it really basic and quick right now, because like Raj has mentioned, our focus today is to be able to show you how quickly we can get started with actually building an agent. So with respect to an agent, the most important components that we are going to be coming across is one, some way that you can, give it or assign it some sort of a task or some sort of a request. Again, the way you send in that task or request can be something as simple as a web form to something that can come through, multiple social media channels. So we can make it as simple or as complex depending on the use case that you're building this agent for. The most important 3 components that do go into making that agent function itself. One, there is some sort of planning that is involved. Again, if you refer back, to the previous slide, for example, about how much autonomy it has, whether it's a very basic conversational agent versus a much more autonomous or learning kind of an agent, there could be, again, multiple stages or a lot of complex reasoning that might go into this stage. The one factor that does give these agents a lot of power is their ability to decide and call multiple other tools depending on the exact nature of the task that needs to be executed. There could be some places where it might need to do, for example, a web search. Maybe, some other point of time, it might need access to some scraping sort of tools or to an LLM model. Even the LLM models, once again, depending on the kind of platform you're using, depending on what sort of licenses we have, you can kind of customize it to the exact kind of tool call that you are interested in. The final factor that really makes agents so much more powerful over just a basic, conversation that you have with an LLM model is this ability to build in memory, which could be either short term or long term. Short term, just within the context of that one single task execution, being able to remember maybe if there are multiple steps, for example, what was the output of a previous step and how that plays into the next level of task that it is planning. Then long-term memory would obviously go much more longer in terms of remembering a lot of your past preferences in terms of how that task was actually executed, being able to personalize the kind of responses, being able to take in a lot more customization requests. All of that comes in once we also, attach a little long-term memory to our agent. For some of the demos that we have planned today, we are going to keep it probably, as basic as what you see on screen right now, just a couple of tool calls and maybe, a very little prompting and being able to call an LLM model. There's obviously a lot more terminology that actually comes in at this stage. We're not going to go that deep as of now. Different kinds of agents, for example, like multi-agents that talk to one another. Then there are various different kinds of reasoning, the React, the Review, and all of that. But, the terminologies and the technical concepts, we'll probably get to it a little later. Like we said, focuses on being able to build something really quick using a no-code, low-code platform for today. Moving on to the next slide, there is just one single use case that we want to showcase, especially the difference between, what a regular direct conversation with an LLM versus being able to build an agent for the exact same task. Now, for example, if the task that you're handing over to the agent is to help you plan a vacation, maybe, do the entire booking for you. Depending on the place, depending on the time when you would want to take that vacation, is the weather, really suitable for that point of time. So to get that details, your agent might need to go and fetch in some data from, let's say, a weather forecast tool, or generally do a regular Google search kind of a functionality. Now, based on the results it gets from that first step, then look up, flights. And again, in terms of the prompts that you're going to give your agent, you can mention a lot of constraints. Let's say you want to keep the entire trip under some 10K, maybe money-wise, or you have certain other constraints. These are the kind of activities that I definitely want to do, or I would want to avoid this kind of cuisine, for example. So a lot of these details go into either the prompts that you put in, or it could be pulling it up from its own long-term memory if this is a recurring task that your agent is going to be doing. So once again, what probably we're trying to showcase here is, one, getting that weather data, then getting those details about all of your flights, checking back with the user as to what the right choices for them. So this is also one very important term that you get to notice very frequently: human in the loop approach, at least at certain stages within your entire agent's workflow. Some sort of feedback that comes back from actual participants if possible, so that you make sure your agent is very much in line with what your expectations are. Of course, like Raj has mentioned, the direction now is towards building completely autonomous AI agents, much more advanced models. It does need, a lot of guardrails in place. One thing is, we need to make sure the LLM models are not hallucinating. There could be multiple LLM models at various stages. You want to make sure everything runs correctly, because some problem introduced at one of the earlier stages might really impact the overall output that you get back from your agent. So although we are probably keeping it a little simple for now, there could be a lot of these additional aspects in terms of pulling in context, in terms of long-term memory, in terms of having certain safety guardrails, in terms of having certain feedback loops built into the agent itself, and also definitely the human in the loop approach. So some aspects of this we'll try to showcase when we move into the demos next. I'll hand it over back to Raj now for the very first demo. And it's already been discussed. Those of you who are on a system and are able to actually carry out all the steps, that would be great. So we do have a couple of demos that we'll be able to finish using, no code and low code platforms for now. Thanks, Raj. You can get started with the first demo.
Okay, thanks, Aparna. And that's what we're going to do. We are going to team tag back and forth with us, between us and between y'all as well, trying to do your own task and things. So the way we are going to approach, we're going to start with some of the very no code, very low code demo. Again, the second one also is going to be a low code itself. I don't think so. We'll have time for this one. We are planning another. We have planned already, and we'll share all the details about the third demo and how that is going to happen. But within that, how we're going to approach like a formal training program, a very hands-on, live, interactive kind of approach. So within a single demo, I'm going to do the first one. Aparna is going to do the second one. When I'm doing this, the way we are going to approach, I'm going to run a specific set of tasks and step byte by byte. And after every single action or step or module which I've finished, I'm going to give you all a chance and to a couple of minutes so that really, as we are hoping to, you all get to do from within this next 20, 30 minutes, you all get a system set up ready to have some kind of AI agent started. And that's the biggest value. It's all about y'all. It's not about us. So with that, please situate yourself. If you need to move to a laptop, do whatever you need to do and get on the chair instead of the on a sofa or wherever you all are, just please try to do the best for your own self. So with that, we are going to get started. So the first one, we are going to focus on a tool called Langflow. So I'm going to get started right from the very basics. I'm going to do all the steps. And then at that moment, the challenge in training world is what happens. People try to do it and see it. I think it can be very difficult. And this is with the limited period of time. So what's the part of thing, what I'm going to say? These are the steps which I'm going to do, but I'm going to give you all the chance to be able to do it. So first, have your hands off the keyboard and focus. Please be present just for a few more minutes. And if you are just going to hang in for another 5 minutes or something, you have a system where you can start playing really sophisticated use cases and patterns actually without any much coding. So please try to do the best for yourself. Be present, be focused on the screen and do it. Let me situate and stop the share of this one and move into my application. I'm trying to do a little very live activity, and sometimes Murphy's Law kicks in and some things may not happen from that perspective. So I'm going to really go from a zero application. So all the steps are going to be given and you are going to perform, but please watch through the steps at this moment of time. Very simple steps. I think I might have hiccups and then I have a backup account and a backup account with the backup, so that if I need, at least I'm going to be able to show you in case something happens. So we are going to use, there is a couple of options. There is langflow.org. It's an open source platform where you can go and create a visual-based interface without any code, very little code, and create quite a different set of AI agents. The option of that really links into and it's literally changed a few days back. That's how AI is running so fast at this moment of time. So when you click on this, typically you used to take like an online version of this. Now it has been evolved and it creates a desktop version, which is good if you wanted to create that. But in this kind of environment, I don't want to bring environment issues and your Mac versus Linux and all kind of different things which are happening there. So we want to avoid, and that's why we are going to use another version, which was the previous button, which is to take here in something called as DataStack. DataStack is a company which has been acquired by IBM. They have a few different things. They have a vector database called Astra. They have an integration with Langflow in a very visual way, an online way. So I'm going to share the link and you'll be able to do it. I'll put the instructions also in the chat as well as in the screen. So we'll do that. So once we go into this, it's actually langflow.datastack.com. If you come in there, it brings you to this page. If you have an account, go ahead and log in. I do, but I'm going to create a brand new one as well and see what happens. So we're just going to go and sign up. There are various options, obviously, but the simplest form is actually going to be Google. So I'm hoping it just does it very easily and does not take any hiccups. If it does, and it does, because that's not the account which I have access to, I may have to switch to another one, which I can see if I'm able to pull that one. But I've created an account, so that's not going to be the full-on experience from that one. But you'll get the flow at least. So I had to do a sign up, which I've already done. And this should get me in actually. So there are a few different steps which happen before sign up. What happens, it is going to ask you to obviously verify yourself, and there is a couple of settings which is it's going to ask. It's going to ask just standard agreements, which is going to say acknowledge that there are a bunch of documents. Sometimes it hangs like this, it takes a little longer time depending on Zoom and all those things happening. And you can refresh that. It will ask you whether you're using for work, you're using for what's your preferred code mechanism, and so on and so forth. But once all of that is done, hopefully, and you should be able to come to a point where, let me see if I'm able to come to that screen. If not, I have the screenshot of that, and we can utilize that way. Going to give a few more seconds while I'm going to get, here we go. So perfect. So once you get in, when you come in, you may come into a different point. And I think I just want to showcase that as well. And first, let's create an account. I'm going to navigate you all. The second bite or second piece of learning will be like slowly. You might come here. And once you are coming the most, and if you're not paying attention, please look at that, because somebody's going to ask this question, or at least 5 of you are going to ask this question. So please focus here. So there is this application selection, typical like Google has. So click on that, and there is Langflow right there, because it will default take you to this database. Do not create a database, do not create a project. You don't need to do any of that. You're going to move from this application selection and Langflow. And once you're done, you have come to this page, you will not see anything yet, which is perfectly fine. My other account has many more. This one has few, but I think you don't need any of that. I think we'll start from it. You reach this screen, that would be a good point to reach. So with that said, we are going to give you 2 minutes to actually be able to do this on your own. And we are going to bring up a timer. So here is the step-by-step instructions. Let me first, before doing that, put these also in the chat so that if however you prefer, you can utilize it. These are the steps in the chat, so everybody can access at the same time. It's going to be on the screen. We are going to go on. I'm going to be here, but you have 2 minutes to be able to try to do the setup. If you need a few more minutes, let me know. There is a way in Zoom to mark as, if you go to the emojis, there is an option to do a green check mark, which I'm going to mark for yourself. You go into emojis, and there it is. So that's an indicator how we can know that you are finished or not, I think. But we're going to give 2 minutes, a little more than maybe, and then we'll stop and we'll continue with the next steps, because of, in interest of time, we have 8 different steps to be done at least. So there's a lot to which we want to try to cover, being a little more ambitious. So here we go. So let's start the timer and giving you all a little time to really be able to do this. If you have any questions, put in the chat. But troubleshooting may be difficult, where with 1 to 50 plus audience, it may be hard to really do that. But even if you get an account created, that itself is a big win. I think there are a few more ones which we're going to do, but this itself is much more powerful. James, I'll show that in a bit, how the landing page looks. I want to stop for others. So, but yeah, I'll show that once this timer is done. A few more seconds I'll give after this. Hopefully many of you are able to get the account. Let's give another minute or so. I'll restart the timer with another minute or so, but I think let's try to at least get the account created. I think this, if nothing else, if you're able to do 2 steps out of the 8, I think we have a big win here. I'm going to give another minute or so to this timer and give folks a chance. This setup is okay. Erin was able to do it. Please, okay. So great. Erin was able to figure out the check mark. Uh, a few more seconds. If somebody really is there and wants a few more seconds to be able to do that, we can give a few more seconds. But I think I hope you all are trying to do this. I think the steps are in the chat, and these are the instructions for the very first step of that. So let me stop this share and show you where you land up. So just be careful that you do not land up in the extra section. It's extra.datastack.com, but I think you need to make sure you come into the app and the lang flow, and you're not doing any setting, any configuration. It may be just trying to spin and spin sometimes. Do not do that. So this is go to the app section and lang flow. It could on something else, not something, but yeah, you should land here. This is the page we are hoping you can land in. Do not do anything in the extra. We do not, even it doesn't hurt you, but it's not needed. What you need is like the app, and you'll come up with the lang flow. If you've got up to that stage, I think that will be really, really, I mean, that itself is, and you can do a lot more later based on what I'm going to show you. But that's what we are hoping for. Okay. Yeah, Chris, do not do anything in the extra section. I think it's a little confusing. Don't go to the extra DB, but just come into lang play. It will be empty out here. So next step. So we have, hopefully some of you, many of you have got a setup and account created. You have enabled now. Now let's look into what this tool capability can do. So again, as I said, it's an IBM purchased company, DataStax, which has many different applications, and Langflow happens to be one. It's really online hosted kind of configuration to be able to get started with a lot of different things which you can do to agents. When you come here at this page, you will not see anything over here. What we need to do is, and again, pause, you don't need to follow me right now. I think watch, we'll show you the steps again, and you can do that second step after that. So just please, hands off keyboard, focus on the screen for some few more minutes. So when you click on new flow, that's a way of creating a flow, which in Langflow's world, it's a GUI-based interface, drag and drop interface. It gives you a few templates to start with. It has an option to create some basic prompting, some RAG-based applications, and simple. We'll do a couple of them today. So prompting, as everybody probably knows already, it's basically chat prompting, which you can create. So you can create your own kind of chatbot, which is specialized for certain needs, certain configurations, certain data which you have. If it's focused on your company data, your data provided by you specifically in a PDF format or any content which you have, and that's where RAG comes into. We are not going in a lot of the technical details today. We want people to just not so much under the hood, but drive the car, get going with it, learn from that, enable themselves. That's more what we are focusing today. That's RAG, and Simple Agent is a little more advanced, where you're trying to become different tools and applications, and we'll do that as well. I just want to take this next step is more about navigating to the platform and how it looks like. As you see, there are a lot of templates which are provided already, use cases which you can get started. Just like if I click on it, I'll get a very detailed flow about that use cases. So if you look at here, there is chat prompting, there is financial report parsing, there is image sentiments. There are so many different use cases which are brought in from different perspectives, where you can really, really get started with existing template which is built, and don't have to really code and not even look at this configuration or many of these things, right? But I think slowly will take you that a lot more than just creating from the blank. So I'm going to click on the blank flow for now, just to navigate you all to the interface and get you familiar with what different pieces are there. This in the middle section is called as a canvas, where we'll be putting all our components and taking step-by-step things as we build. What you have in this left side is lots of different components, which we are going to drag and drop and create a lot of things. First, I'm going to create from the template so that we don't have to drag and drop anything, and we will be able to create everything from the template itself, and we don't even have to touch almost anything and just get started with only one step, which I'll show you. So there are a lot of components which are available, like a chatbot. If you want to do a chat kind of input output, there are input applications, there are data sources which you can bring, lots of different sources. So you can really go complex from a database, from a website, a lot of different kind of things which you can bring in. So you can start imagining the power of what all you can do. There are different models. There are agents, there are language models, there are MCP servers, there are so many things which you can bring in. I'm not going to go in each of them, there is not even time, but just giving you a taste of what is possible. You can do a batch run, you can run things from files, there is a lot of processing, there is flows, conditional flows, which you can say, I do this for me when this condition happens and this parsing happens. There is a lot of sophisticated thing which you can bring in. There are a lot of utilities. There is calculator, there is time conversion, there is currency conversion, there is so many. And there's a whole bunch of other ones. What if I wanted to search on Google and get the top 5 articles on this particular domain, and that can be used in website or blogging and so on and so forth. That could be something you can do with Confluence, and right there you can use DuckDuckGo. There's tons of these. Wikipedia, there is Google search, there is so many, there's Slack integration. So many capabilities which are there, and we'll use some of this today. We'll not be doing a lot, but I think we'll definitely do some things. Now, when I have an application, when you look at it, this navigation is telling me all the different projects which I have and how many flows I have. If I go back here, it tells me there's 3 which where I've been trying since morning, and then some of this in this new account, and I just created this one. So it sits here. So you can navigate that way. You can create a new one. You can obviously go to your existing one, change the name, whatever you are doing, once you have built. Once you have implemented, there is this button called Playground, which will help you test it. At this point of obviously there's nothing here, and it's not going to allow me to do anything for that reason. But that's what we'll be using to play and really use our application. You can obviously share. Once I build something, even you can take the existing one, you can export into a JSON format and give it to somebody or give it to your group or your team. And that's how you can really propagate this to other formats on the server, to the team. For development, there are so many things which can be done. So this is the high-level navigation of the interface. But let me do one, show you a little more, and then we will ask you all to do part of it. Not everything you don't need to do together. We are going to break that also in 2 parts. So let me go here. And this time, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick up basic prompting. And once I click on this, it's automatically going to create a flow, which is created already given to me. And there are a bunch of components which I was showing you are already there. There is a README file. This is just, we can delete it, or you can just go through the instructions if you, this will not be there most of the times in your applications, but this is what you are going to do. There are a couple of things which this one is doing. This is the basic prompting. You're creating almost like a chatbot, which is a little more advanced or more specialized, doing something specific you want. And that's what this is about. We do need an API key, and that's where it's going to get a little tricky. And some of you may have challenges or may not want to do it. It's up to you, but you do need a key. And I'll show you how to get a couple of different options to get the key. And once you have done this, set up these things, the only step which we need to do is connect a key, API key, and then be able to run it and use it. As simple as that, right? So what is happening here? Let me walk you all through a little bit of this interface, what is happening. As a standard chatbot, if you know there's an input, which you will write whatever the starter text is hello, and that's going to feed into the language model which we have here. There are a series of providers which are provided. I can use OpenAI, Anthropic, Google. It should be a bigger list. I don't know why this tool, I think I can show you the other one thing that could be, but this is more than enough. Most of the bigger popular ones are here. So OpenAI, Google, any of those you can do. I have a key for both. But I'm actually going to go for Google one. And once I go to a particular model, each of them has different models created. As you must be hearing in news, this new model has come into play and so on and so forth. So these models keep on coming. and they have different functionality, different capability, different things. So we need to pick whichever makes sense for that particular scenario. In this thing, I know 2.5, 1.5 doesn't work with the standard key. The 2.25, you can play around with whichever and try different things which you want. There is API key. I've already put a variable and put a key over there. I'll show you how to do and utilize it, right? So that's what this step is needed, and you are ready to run with this. Again, when I run it, it may work, may not work. Sometimes it errors out and things like that. A lot of things can be possible, but the important part is you having a key. So I'm going to remove the key. You can paste a key, encrypted key, or just a text key, and obviously don't show it to anybody. Save it for yourself. Have a key, or better version is to create a variable, and that's what I have done. So you can create add variable. You can paste also if you want to make it simple, and it comes into here. You pick up the whatever key it is. It's a Google key or whichever key you will select that. And then you will give a variable name, any name you can give, and put the value which you find. Once I'll show you how to get the key as well. But I do have a key, so I'm going to just utilize it for now, define. And if you see each of these components which are there, each one has this play run component, how to run that component. I can run an individual component, or I can go to playground and run everything. By running this individual ones helps me to really see if that component is ready and running beforehand before I go to the play, and then I can debug whichever piece I want to debug. I don't have to worry about everything I can run, but these don't have much. So I'm going to run I've run the language model, and it is running using this Google key, which I have, which I'm going to share how to do things. So it builds successfully. When it builds successfully, it actually runs anything prior to that. So it already has validated these simple boxes are working fine too. So this is kind of ready. You don't need to check the output. The output can be checked at the playground. So I'm going to go here and just get started. So it said hello. Let's see what it does. Sometimes it's just sitting there. And it's just going to give a hello back and few things, depending on the version, things which is happening. Then we can start asking whatever questions we want to ask. This is more of a simple chatbot, which is working. So this is this. Let me ask is what is machine learning? And it will think for a few seconds and give me an answer. And that's the chatbot. So it's working, running, kind of thing. So I literally took a ready-made template, attached my key, and ran with it. So that's what we did, right? I think let's give a few more seconds. If not, then I'm going to move to how to really, okay. So here is the answer which it gives. So I built a simple flow using nothing but just the API key, and everything was ready-made. The things were available. So now, how do we get the key? That's the billion-dollar question there. So there is various ways you can do. OpenAI has the API, which you can have a paid version and just have an API key and produce that. It will charge you for each of those transactions, but there are thousands and thousands which you have to do before you can get charged. What we are going to do is I'm going to show you all Google approach of doing it, Google AI Studio. And these are the steps which we'll be doing, but I'll do it. I'll try to do some of it. I was hoping the brand new account where I have to do everything from zero, but that is not working. So this one, I'm going to use the existing account, but I'm going to run through this to showcase you all before you actually start doing it. So hang in there for a few more seconds before getting started. Here we go. So let me quickly click there. I have already created an account. I'm logged into a Gmail, so it just brought me in. I'm already in here. So please pay attention for this. You will not probably have any of these, or you might if you're depending on what account you're using. Once you come in here, go to this bottom left and let's get API key. And you might come here somewhere else and dashboard. You might land over here if this is the first time coming in here. Then you click on get API key. I wish they could keep it a little more simpler. And then you might have to create API key. So once you click on this and you just click on generate key, it will create a key. And this will be very much similar to what this is doing. you will see a line which is similar to this. So I've done a couple of times. So I've gone to one. If I click on this, that will show me the full key, and that's what you need to copy and save it somewhere. Don't share with anybody because they could be using that. The only next step after that, we need to do a setup. This is almost like setting up a Google account, Google Cloud account. So if you click on this, it will take through this account into your Google Cloud console, and it is going to ask you to set up the billing, give your credit card and things like that. It won't charge. There is a lot of what you're going to do right now. It's not going to charge you anything. It's going to be, there's enough credit and a lot of things. You have to do really lot to really even get into pennies of charge. But this is a step, and your choice. But I would say, like, if you have an account, you can connect to that. If you have a Google OpenAI key, you can connect to that. Any of those. But if you do this, you have a key, and that's what you can utilize. Once you have done those steps, you can click on it. Even without that, you can try to put this key. It will error out when I don't give a key which is not having a setup or something. This, in fact, is another key which, in fact, let me do that. But I'll have to share my screen. But if you paste it directly, I think it doesn't. It sometimes give you very basic stuff, and then after that, it will say the quota is reached, and you cannot do the limit, and all the things starts happening. So if you provide the setup billing for the free tier, as it says the free tier, it should be all good. So that's what we are going to do. Is second step is just getting your key. And again, not everybody may want to do it or may not be able to do it. But without that also, if you just created an account, you'll be able to do a lot more, which I'll show in third step and fourth step. So with that, let me quickly go. We are running a little late already. There is things which Aparna needs to do as well, but let me bring that up and let me give you 3 minutes. So whoever is trying to do it, let's take 3 minutes to follow these steps. Let me copy the steps in the chat so you can continue to do that. So here you go. We have tried to put the instructions, the left, right, bottom, all of that thing as much as possible, but help yourself. Try to see if you can get the key. This one will start at 3, and even if we are not able to get everybody to do it, because we have 8 steps to be done, and then we have very limited time left. But our goal was really that you guys do some stuff. I think that there's nothing better than the accomplishment of, like, I have my setup done, I created even an account or got my first agent. Nothing better than I can sit here 2 hours, 5 hours saying things, and it's going to be some good value, but I think this is much more higher value if you are able to do it. Yeah, the recordings will be shared with everyone. It is going to be on a YouTube channel. So yeah, recordings is being recorded and the recording will be shared. Okay, another minute or so. It seems some of you are able to give the check mark and complete it. That's great. Nice. Yeah, even if one person gets it, I'm happy. I'm really sure that a good amount of people have got the account created. Okay. So that's the key which you need. And for interest of time, I'm going to move forward. So our next step, which I've done partly, I've done some of that already from my side. I think this was a two-part step, which we've navigated through the UI and connected to the Gemini 2.5 Pro, added the API, I ran it, and I've asked a different question, not line flow. You can ask whatever question you want. That's what this one is doing. And if you really got a key and able to run this one, you have achieved the goal of getting your first agent flow created. And we're going to talk about some other flow. I was going to create a brand new I might create a one from brand new and then just a sample one and then give it to Aparna. But let's give this 2 minutes, and then we are not going to do we may go into the demo kind of mode after this in interest of time. Let me put this also in the chat. Thirty more seconds. Yeah, you can use, there's so many models. You can use whichever works. That's fine. Yeah, billing is required. That's correct, Sanjay. How do you add the key? That's a question. I'll show that. How many credits? Uh, $300 per month, which is way lot than what we need. So this, okay. So how do you attach your key? So once you click on this, it's going to prompt and give you the full key. Once you're coming here, whichever model, you can play around with different models. As you can think of the version, the Flash, the Mini, and there are so many smaller ones. There is documentation on their site, which you can think is hard for to keep up. But one of those models which you take it, that's a little more advanced point of how to choose and what to choose and kind of a thing. But most of them will do basic stuff which we need to do anyways. You can either just paste the key here directly, like just go Control V, which is something I have something crazy stuff on there. It's not useful, so I'm going to delete. But the better way to create a variable and attach it. Either way, it's going to work fine. For now, I think you just paste it, to not show or share with anybody else. But I think that's going to be enough, and to be able to run with it, right? So that's the thing. Now, I'm going to now go into demo mode only, and both of us, I think, Aparna also, because I think for interest time. So what I'm going to do, I think you all may say, oh, this was all created from like a template, but what about if you want to create one? That experience is also useful. If you get up to this much, I think that's more than enough of what you've got good amount of knowledge that you can really build from there. So I'm almost going to build the whole thing again without from scratch. So what it had, if you remember, it it's simple, right? You need an input and you need an output, right? That's the chat input output because it was a chat box, right? And there was a prompt template. This is like, it's telling, if you, in a simple way, if you're thinking, if you're doing chatbot, and sometimes you say chat GPT that you are a marketing expert in that. This is what that is. It's trying to tell that. And then I'm going to go for a language. Yeah, right. I'm just tagging. You can click on this plus and bring it. I think this is what I need. These are 4 pieces of things which were there, which are needed. Now, what I do is really expand that. Click on this 3 and just focus on the screen, please. I think stop doing so that you'll not miss this. I think if you see this one, then it's good enough. I think then you can, and we're going to help you out with other things as well. So this one you can expand, and then you can put details around it. You can edit and rename it and everything. We are not going to do anything. For now, I'm just going to say, hi, that's the starter text which we have when the chatbot comes into play, and it will start with that. It's not something starting is, that's what it's needed. Here is the part where it creates the prompt. I'm going to just say, you are a Gen AI expert and help with answers. Keep it very simple. And you can reverse engineer. You can see what the other one was saying and so on and so forth. You can format it this way. And now the 2 pieces is like the bringing the API key. So I'm going to shift again back to Google. I'm going to go again and click Pro for my case. And then I'm going to connect this box to the input, just this output from the input, from the chat output. Chat input is coming into the language model. Then the output from here is going to go to my output. And then this prompt, I'm going to convert into, and that's, so this is a mode where it converts into a tool mode. This is one thing which we play around and flip with it, whether we want to really, how we want to adjust it. There are a lot of tools which you can convert this component into tools. For this one, I think this is good enough for now. And this is what basically I've created already. Let me run only this part. And if this runs, I think we don't need to go to play around and spend the time with that. I think that will tell us like this has been tested. So I created from scratch a flow with just these selections. You can get as sophisticated as possible you want. A little more sophisticated one, which we are going to see, and then that's going to be end of my part of it. So you can create all these different kind of things, creating a simple agent. Let me just open up this one, and it's a little bigger than what the other one was. So let me explain this one, and then we'll stop. So we'll have a chat input, the chat output. This time, instead of just the language, it's almost an agent which is going to do certain things. And it's going to do things based on, it's going to still give responses here. It's not that automated kind of a thing outside, but it has 2 different other components which are in the tool mode. So it's like URL fetcher. So it's getting information from a website. It's a calculator tool. Both are attached to the tools part of the agent. So while doing this, the tool agent is going to look for which one I want. If I'm asking like information, let me do that real quick if I can. If it doesn't work, I'm not going to wait for it. Okay, let's see if it tests fine. So, no. Okay, button selected. I'm going to select something. Go to model and figure out. Go. Okay, I'm not going to spend the time into this at this moment of time, but this model would try to do picking up things from the existing one and define whether it is a calculated math problem or a URL which you're giving a site and it's getting information fetching about that kind of a thing. So depending on that, it will give you this instruction. And once it runs it successfully, let me see if I have the other one. which was all set and ready. Let's see this one. If it didn't break anything. Okay, let's try one quick thing here. Or I'll just go for the previous session. So here it is asking a math question, and it is answering this question. But the important part is like, it's kind of, which tool did it use? It is smart enough to figure out, like, I need to math calculator for this one. And depending on, so it's like building from all these different components, you can have tons of those components and define that. So that's a little more advanced and sophisticated one. I'm going to throw these instructions also into the sheet for this simple agent. And you can do it if you have time and you want to, or save it. And we're going to give the instructions, all these things, into a document and share it with everybody. But I think once you just give a document, nobody does it, and that's kind of you just hold it. Instead, we wanted to have that experience of you really doing it. So we are already over an hour, but I think if you have time, we are going to hang in and continue. So I'm going to stop the share and give it to Aparna. Or Aparna, what do you think? I think it's way too ambitious plan which we had, and kind of ran with it. Do you want to show your tool, or how do you think?
It depends. Maybe I could just do like a very quick run through of how it looks like, probably at most 10 minutes, if that's okay. Otherwise, we can skip that second demo. Either way is fine.
Okay. We have quite a few audience, I think. So if they're hanging in there, that means they want to see it. So let's do it. Let's go for 10 minutes of that, and we'll have a wrap in 5 minutes. Then another 15 minutes if you think it's can hang in there. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, James.
I'll keep this really brief, just to maybe showcase what sort of things can be done. Just spend a couple of minutes on the setup itself. To be very honest, building the agent itself won't take you more than 10 minutes, the agent that I'm going to showcase. But the very first time that you do this job, getting everything set up, the software part of it, getting the credentials, that will run into definitely an hour's worth of time. So, but if you get that out of the way, then it becomes really easy for you to build any sort of a much more complex workflow. So the low-code platform that I'm going with is N8N. It's mostly famous for creating very powerful automations, but it also has this advanced AI agent behavior built into the platform itself right now, which makes it very easy to create these, AI-enhanced workflows. There are two modes in which we can go with N8N. This first mode would be the most useful for a majority of you. Again, very similar to the initial setup that Raj was showcasing. You could just go to N8N, their website, and get a 14-day free trial. This is for their cloud version. So it's going to be like an online web interface, very, very simple to get started with. You just drag the components and start building a workflow. The only issue is you're going to need some sort of a work email to even get this access. So if you only have a regular Gmail account, it might be difficult to get that free trial. Also, it expires within 14 days. So a better option of doing this is if you actually download and install N8N on your own local computers. If you already have some sort of Docker containers, that could work. Even without that, again, this part of the job will take you some 10-15 minutes just by itself. You'll have to go to your command prompt, pull in the package and then install it on your local system. And just type in N8N start, the options that you see in orange here, and get started. So again, the overall install doesn't take way too long, and this option is best because, one, it is fully free. Two, there is no limitation, that 14-day trial kind of a thing. It's like, as long as you have it on your system, you'll be able to use it. And then you can go to, once again, your local browser on your system and be able to access your workflows, which I'll show after I've finished with the instructions part. So the first tool we are using to build our agentic workflow itself is N8N. I am using it in the self-hosted mode because that is fully free. Now, the second thing, any AI agent, basically the intelligence part of it comes by integrating it with some LLM model. Again, like Raj was showing, you all connected your Gemini models through API key to get that access. And there are a lot of those LLM models, obviously. Some of us have paid accounts to ChatGPT, Claude, It could be Gemini, it could be Grok, whatever your favorite LLM tool is. But to be able to integrate them into these workflows, you are going to need paid accounts of one of those tools. The only other way you can still go ahead and do that without actually, getting any paid accounts as such is there are a lot of free open source LLM models available. You could go to Hugging Face, for example, and download them. So, instead of going to Google's website and connecting with them directly, let's say for Gemini, or go to your ChatGPT interface, the other way we are doing it is one of those LLM models, we are downloading it onto our local computer and using this tool called Olama to be able to run that LLM model. Once again, the setup actually is pretty simple. It happens really quickly, maybe some 5 minutes for this part of the job. You'll need to go to olama.com, first download it onto your system, then go to your command prompt or your terminal, open up one of those windows, and then pull whichever large language model you want. So Olama is more like that, outside tool or wrapper that allows you to run your LLMs. Llama 3 is one of those small, relatively smaller compared to maybe all the ChatGPT 5.1s and all, slightly smaller model that I'm downloading onto my local system. So for example, Llama 3 is roughly around 4.5 GB, the file size itself. Depending on your internet speed, it might take 2 to 3 minutes to finish this part of the setup. So the previous slide was the overall tool we are using to build our agent. This is the LLM that we are going to integrate within our agent. Now, based on my use case, I did want to store some of my data back into a Google Sheet. We'll look at that in a couple of minutes. This is one place where I would need to integrate my Google Sheets with my overall workflow. Again, the very first time you do it, you do need to authenticate and make sure your agent is talking to your signed in version of your Google Sheet. So you need to, for both of them to be able to communicate with one another. And that is where these Google Sheets credentials become necessary. Very similar to that Gemini API key that Raj was showcasing earlier. So it's almost going to be similar steps. There is no sign up involved. There is absolutely no credit card information or anything else required. This is completely free. All of us that have a Gmail account, we do use Google Sheets and Slides. Exactly the same way, you're kind of authorizing your agent to go talk to your sheet. That's the one additional step we are doing, for which you're going to need a ID and key. And this is again 100% free. This part of the job, getting those credentials, being able to download the ID and secret key, it will take you 10 to 12 minutes of time to follow through the steps and get this to be active. One other, if some of you, if you're planning on trying this out later, one final issue you might run into at this stage is it usually says it will take a few days to authenticate and make sure that everything is set up and working. So whichever Gmail ID you're using to be able to do this entire job, also use that Gmail ID and sign up. Again, it'll allow you to do that on that same credentials page as a test user, so that you can get started right away with your workflow. One tip at this stage is you might run into a few issues. It's also a little difficult to actually go through all those interfaces and figure out what to do at what stage. A lot of help from your regular ChatGPT, Google. So just keep putting in those messages, copying back the error messages, copy pasting the screens to get that kind of help. But again, this is a one-time job. Once you get your credentials, you're set, and you can create n number of workflows later with the exact same workflow. Now let me go back to another. All right. So now let's actually start looking at the N8N screen. A couple of other things that I've done before I actually started off. I just set up this empty Google Sheet on my personal account. I'm calling it expenses with these 4 columns. So now my use cases, I'm trying to create a very basic agent where I will type in something in natural text. I'll put it in plain English, and I want my agent to extract the information out of the input that I have given, be able to break it down into those components, when, what, how much, those exact details from this natural language text, and then go and store them into that Google Sheet that I showed you. Okay. Now let's go and spend a minute or so with the N8N interface itself. So this is again my N8N self-hosted web interface. Other aspect I was mentioning, Olama. This is how you figure out once you go to localhost 11434, it makes sure or tells you whether your backend LLM model is running. So one other tip at this stage is once you have downloaded Olama and then you have downloaded Llama, whichever LLM you want, they keep running continuously as background services. You don't need to restart them or make them active or anything. They are like constantly available to N8N whenever it wants to call them. Right. So this is the N8N interface. You can just click on the create workflow and get started. A lot of the components with respect to agents, right? Like the initial trigger part of it, being able to put in an AI agent in between, attaching it to memory, attaching it to tools, all those options come up here. Once again, if you start with a goal in mind, this is what I want to do, you'll have a better sense of which tool or which option you want at each of those stages. So supposing, you have an OpenAI key, you can connect to an OpenAI model. Let's say you want to do, pull off or scrape some websites. You can use the web scraper tool. Let's say you want to connect it to your WhatsApp. Very easy to do. In fact, you can get a Twilio, node in between and ask it to get messages from your WhatsApp number. So the power wise or functionality wise, there is immense number of options available, but it will be your use case, what exact steps you're going to need that will determine. Now, let me go to one of the workflows that I've already created for the purpose of today's demo. Again, the overall use case I'm trying to showcase is I have some basic HTML form. I'm going to put in natural language text, plain text. I want my agent to extract the data and then get it and store it into this sheet. That's what we are trying to showcase. If we go to, the various nodes that are available, again, I'll keep it brief and finish in a minute or so. So the first step here is a webhook. This is what is going to be pulling your data wherever your input is coming from. Now I have attached this webhook to that HTML form that I just showed you. You could attach it to a Slack channel. You could get in data from WhatsApp, from your LinkedIn. So, where you pull in your initial data again depends on your initial or your use case as such. So this is my first node. I've connected it to another set node. This is just to clean up the input and make sure, the data goes in a very correct JSON format only into the next level of my workflow. This is where the AI agent comes in. And I hope this is visible. There are these three different things you can connect it to. I've connected it to my local Olama chat model because, like we said, once again, we wanted to keep this fully free, absolutely no paid licenses or anything, completely free open source tools. I haven't attached any memory or additional tools yet. This will come in if you're trying to do a little more powerful kind of workflow. Once again, this agent is what is reading this input text, extracting the details, and then those details are getting sent into this final Google Sheet. So let me just run the workflow now. All right. So this webhook is now listening or waiting for data. Let me say what. So I'm putting in some input here. Bought groceries for, let's say, $45 on Jan 14, 20. Again, I could have made this a lot more complex, but for now, let's keep it simple. All right. So now I have put in the input. Let's go back to our workflow. Okay. And this webhook has already listened to whatever data I have sent in from my form and captured it. I'm now going to go to the next stage and execute this step. So it is pulled in that data from the webhook, cleaned it up a little bit. This is the entire input that has come into the second level, which is that set node. Let me go to step 3, which is my AI agent. This is where it is using the Olama model, and the prompts and all go into this particular stage. So I said extract these exact fields here, and we're also giving it a prompt, act like a data extraction engine and give me JSON data. Now, if we execute this step, it's taking this natural language text that you see towards the left here and trying to break it up into those components. So that is where the intelligence or the actual LLM step of it is coming in. It does take a little while, maybe a few seconds worth of time. So the chat model is looking at that. Based on the prompt, it is carrying out the task that I've asked it to. We'll just give it a few seconds for it to pull out that information. Move on to the next step. So it's trying to execute this. The AI agent is calling the Olama model, reading this input based on this prompt, trying to break it up into very valid individual fields within JSON kind of output. While it does that, maybe, yeah. So it's finished. The output is generated on this right side. Moving on to the next stage. So my AI agent is finished doing its job. This was an additional kind of unnecessary thing, but just to make sure the output looks exactly the way we want it. So this was input coming from the AI agent. We were extracting individual components, date, amount, category, and description. So date was this, then the amount was $45, category was groceries, which my tool was able to pick up. And we've executed this. Now I am executing the last step within my agent, which is take this input from the previous stage, push it into my Google Sheet. Again, this is the place where you will have to put in all those OAuth credentials. If you look over here, it says, Google Sheets account. This is where we did that connection, which will take a little bit of time. Now, let me go back to that Google Sheet I showed you. You see it was empty earlier, and this is the current data, which I put in my form and has been populated. Maybe, kind of seems simple, but just this simple workflow, you can really modify it, make it like a really good customer service agent based on the message somebody puts into this kind of a form, right? Should I send it to refund? Should I connect them with an actual representative? You can also authorize it to send back the refund if it is under $20, for example. So a lot more switch kind of things that you can do. Now this workflow itself, you can put in a lot more logic. You can keep putting in additional elements. Let's say, I want to build one more AI at this stage. Based on this input, if, amount is this much, do something. If amount is above 500, give an alert back to the user. So we can keep extending the workflow. Again, all of this is completely free. Just takes you maybe a couple of hours to get the entire thing set up and started the first time. Once you've done that, it becomes very easy because all your credentials are set up. You can start creating a lot more powerful workflows at a later point of time. Now, if it is not a Llama, if you already have your, let's say, OpenAI or Gemini keys, instead of an Olama model, you could have asked for an OpenAI model too at this stage. So you can pick and choose whichever LLM model that you would want to. I'm going to stop with this. Again, like Raj has mentioned, we'll share all the steps. You can actually, go through those very detailed instructions and build this kind of a workflow for yourself. Thank you.
Thanks, Aparna, and thanks everybody for hanging in. Just a couple of more minutes for next steps. I think we were totally very ambitious, but it's really great to see most of the folks staying back and think. But I think it's still very powerful when you are yourself doing it, even a few steps. I'm sure you know that and understand. I've been decades of training experience, and that's where it is like doing is more powerful than this thing. In terms of next steps, the third demo. And more on the under the hood, the memory, the tools, and all of those things, which we plan to cover in another session. So these are QR codes. The links have been posted in the chat also. It's a free session, so you can register for that happening in 2 weeks, same time. We'll definitely try to be better planned for the timing aspect of it, maybe even increase it to 90 minutes, which makes more sense to really put the value out there, really good experience and kind of what people can do. So that's there. But also, a couple of minutes, and then we'll finish it and share the gift as well. And thank you for hanging in there. So we are starting a workshop, GenAI Mastery Workshops, which is a hybrid program, which has a lot of online material, which we're going to do for several tools and this piece. There are 2 live sessions which are going to happen every week. and 90-minute sessions like this. And this is the 4-week journey, which will really, in a very short period of time, which you really define and create the mastery in several areas of using GenAI, starting with all the different modalities, whether text, different tools, different productivity, prompting, all of the ethics and several things, and really be finally able to do a capstone project and even do these tools which we just showed in the automation and these pieces. So we were just able to do a slight brief of it, but it will be much more sophisticated. The format, it's to live as well as self-paced learning, but a lot of hands-on. The challenge is with people doing, actually taking the step to really perform. There's a lot of content available, but as you know yourself, how much we do of that. So this kind of a structure really helps you all to really make it happen. It's a 4-week program, live sessions, some e-learning, capstones, and this is the previous batch we were talking about, but that's coming up. I'm not going to take this things, and I think, yeah. So there is, it's cost at $600. There is a discount which is going, this is the code for anybody who has been staying. We are also going to share one more gift for the people who have shared to be able to get that. And I'm going to open up for question answers. If anybody has any questions while we are putting the gift on the chat. But appreciate everybody hanging there. I know it was way over time than people wanted. Let me see if I can open up for chat and anybody can ask or put in the chat itself. Let me do a few changes. And here is, so as a gift, we are going to give training access to 5 different modules or online self-service kind of thing. And you can register online and do that. But thank you, appreciate you all staying back. And here is the link and the coupon code for that. So there is the link. And now we can, let me stop the share for a second to be able to give ability to ask question and mute yourself. So you can unmute now. You can also chat put in the chat in the group however you want to. So that's a question. Okay, I can speak that. I've answered a lot of questions, individual questions people ask. We are recording. We're going to share that recording already. I've given that link as well where it will be shared in probably less than 24 hours. A lot of the individual questions were answered. Some people asked documentation, so I can put that in the regular chat as well. And perfect. Thank you. Thank you. A lot of folks are sharing. There was one question that did jump off. Can AI agents be used to create social media posts? Absolutely. We are doing certain parts of it ourselves. There are a lot of patterns which you can really start doing. Codes and social media is definitely marketing. I think is the one of the area which I think is most impacted in a positive way. Also, if you look from the job perspective, it can be negative way as well. And we can talk about jobs and those opportunities and kind of things in the next session as well. If anybody has questions, I'm happy to talk about those things. But I think, yeah, I think so. You can put the questions in the chat. You can ask, unmute, and answer. Put anything. Now we have opened up completely. So for that, but thank you for staying. Thank you for the experience. Hopefully, you'll be able to get at least some part of it, some knowledge, some kind of account created, enabled. Maybe some of you already created your first AI agent. We're going to hang in for a few more minutes to see if anybody has any questions, comments. Otherwise, we are done for the thing. You can take these screens picture and you can sign up for the next free one, which is happening in 2 weeks. If you're ready, you can go ahead and enroll, or you can take the links from the chat. I'm just going to repaste those links in the chat, the YouTube channel as well. You can save it. It will take a little while. It is also going to be posted in Maven. That I think also takes a little while to get there, but I think it will come in Maven as well as a replay.